Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our 2025 studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
Welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Cord Cook, filling in for Shannon Latham, and I am joined today here by Tyler Mayhan, General Manager, Marketing Director, fill in all your author. Fill in all your roles for me there, Tyler, over at Better Barns in Oklahoma.
Yeah, thank you, Cord. I've been at Better Barns since 2003, and I tell people they hadn't found anything that I could do that I was real good at, so they moved me around a bunch, but they hadn't found it in their hearts to fire me yet. So, I've been general manager for a period of time. And then the company outgrew me. I also teach our church's school, and so the school has always come first, and Better Barns has been very accommodating about that. But when I first started being general manager in 2015, the company was at a size I could manage a lot of the operation and not necessarily be there every day. And still be able to stay kind of on top of everything. By the early 2020s, it had grown substantially, 4 times, 5 times the size it was in 2015. And so it didn't make sense for me to continue as general manager. It was, we kind of laughed about me being general manager. So I moved more into the marketing director role, and still oversee the sales team somewhat, and work with another guy to oversee our sales team and oversee our marketing.
Right. Yeah, actually, Tyler, I went back and I listened to, I believe it was April of 21, which ironically, as I kind of step into, filling in for Shannon for a little bit, I believe that you were one of Shannon's first 3 or 4 interviews back in April of 21.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I really enjoyed going back and listening to that. Of course, I wasn't in the shed industry at that time. I was in franchising, actually a mobile automotive service. But I think the dynamics were much the same in franchising as it was in sheds, it was a boom time, right?
Right.
It was growing in the franchise world. Franchise locations were opening up. In the shed world, from what I've been told and the sort of narrative that I've heard, since I've been in sheds, sounded like boom time, dealer locations opening, expansion, lots of expansion of total sold units, but also of revenues, obviously. And I really thought your insights back then were really good. I think maybe a good place to start today is, give us just an update on how you see Better Barns, obviously, and your firsthand perspective. But what's going on since April of 21 in the shed industry, Tyler? I know that's a big question, but I know
Yeah.
you've got a big mind to fill the space there.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
Well, so at Better Barnes, Cord, it's funny because when we started, the company was founded in 2002. I come on in 2003. And we were just a shed builder, that's all we did. We had dealers like you're talking about, and we just were the manufacturer. And over time that changed, in the early days, it was just my brother-in-law, Vance, as a lot of folks in the industry know him, Vance Wright. He founded the company and he did all the deliveries. We worked in those early days. We worked with a cordless phone. This was before cell phones were quite as big a deal as they are today. Worked with a cordless phone clipped onto our tool belt, and any sales calls that came in, we stopped building a storage building long enough to answer the phone.
Right.
And so, it was kind of a crazy thing to watch the industry grow. And I know my understanding of the industry, and I know I could be wrong, but it seems like that the industry was much more mature back east than it was in our part of the country. So, in those days, there were people that have been building sheds for a long time, back east. But in Oklahoma, there was nobody that I knew of that did this thing, And so watching it just transform over time, Better Barnes has transformed dramatically. We used to do all that and just be a shed manufacturer basically, and did our own deliveries and stuff and a few sales just out of our, manufacturing plant. Really in the past 10 years, we have, sheds have, as a share of our overall business, sheds have shrank quite a lot. And we actually do a lot of big metal buildings now.
Right.
And probably about 40 to 50% of our overall revenue are the big metal buildings now. Sheds have just shrank, over time. It's been a lot of competition moving to Oklahoma since we started. And so there's just been a lot of changes. So as far as how I see the shed industry, I think there's still a lot of life there. I don't think we've reached the end of the life cycle of the industry by any stretch. I think there's still a lot of life there. I do think, and I don't know what all we'll get into today, so I may open up several cans of worms here.
That's
for
fine.
you.
Go for it. We'll go fishing. That's right.
There you go. So I do think that I think rent to own has been a game changer in the industry. Uh, so Better Barnes was the first company to be licensed to do rent to own in Oklahoma. We actually, as I mentioned, my brother-in-law started the company, but my father-in-law was very involved as well. And he actually got involved with the state legislature here in Oklahoma because the rent to own laws that were on the books basically were written for, a place that's renting a washing machine or a TV or recliner, what have you. And it just didn't make sense for the shed industry rent to own. And
Right.
so he actually went there and helped them get some laws on the books that governed what we do more accurately. And so, I've been around the rent to own side. I worked for Better Barnes has some rent to own companies in house, and I've worked with those pretty closely. And so I think there's been some good with that. But
When you
with
point,
the, go
Tyler,
ahead.
just kind of catch up. I think a lot of the listeners kind of understand how the rent to own dynamics kind of cut north to south or even east to west. But over in Oklahoma, as you're kind of in that middle of the country area, I mean, how big is rent to own or even potentially finance when it comes to just using those as tools to get the actual sales across the board? Are those 10%, 20%, 30% of what you're looking at, similar to kind of in the South, or does it tend to be closer to that, 5 to 10 that we see when we get more northern and more western? What's the dynamic out there?
Digital Shed Builder is an online shed configurator that strives to provide incredible visual quality, fantastic customer service, and an amazingly low price point, making it a perfect fit for any shed dealer looking to increase their online sales. Digital Shed Builder is simple to use, taking less than 5 minutes to integrate on your site. The Get a Quote feature streamlines your sales process, showing you exactly what your potential customers need. They offer a highly customizable experience that accurately represents your brand and unique shed offerings, working with you directly to set up everything you need in a configurator. With no extra startup cost, no lengthy contracts or commitments, and no hidden fees, Digital Shed Builder has been created with quality, simplicity, and affordability in mind.
Sure. So yeah, for several years, our shed sales run about a 40-60 split, 40 RTO and about 60, cash.
Right.
It's been the way I haven't checked it this year, so I don't know, can't speak to this year, but the trend has been extremely consistent for years. So yeah, so that some of what I see in the rent to own world, uh, and I'm not anti rent to own, so don't take this that way at all.
Sure.
But I do think it has done some damage to the manufacturing side. Those companies, I think it has artificially impacted the pricing of the sheds uh, to somewhat hamper some of the manufacturing profitability. If that's making sense.
Because it's such a
Because
price, because it's such a monthly payment based, is that kind of, you feel like it's
yes,
holding those prices down because
I
you're
do.
shooting for that monthly payment?
I do. And the other thing I have seen, and again, this is, my perspective is from Oklahoma. And so I know I'm not seeing everything, but it seems like it has also somewhat, at least at times, slowed down the innovation of the manufacturers because here at least, uh, the smaller, cheaper, more basic sheds are the ones that we're aiming at rent to own because that's the market that gets
Sure.
those.
Right.
And because so much of the money in the shed industry comes directly from the rent to own side, at least in our part of the world, it seems like manufacturers have built for the rent to own side, if that makes sense. I'm
Yeah, of
hoping I'm
course.
making sense.
No, of course.
Uh, so yeah, I think it's a two-edged sword, just like every other sword there is. You know, it always got positive and negatives. But I think overall, I would say the rent to own, I think it has been good overall. I really do. My friend Richard Miller has put out some really good content in the past. I think even maybe one of these podcasts with Shannon, giving his testimony about rent to own. And you know, I know there are a lot of people that need this product that could not afford the cash outlay to just purchase it. And it has, it's impacted lives in a real way. And so I'm pro rent to own, but I'm not blind to the negatives.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Do you see, in your experience, I know that there's been a lot of talk about finance, a more traditional, finance structure coming in and shaking up a little bit of that dynamic as well. Of course, we always want to continue to offer more options, to the customer, more ways to buy, more ways to fit whatever their situations are. Have you seen that start to happen out there? It's one of those things that feels like similar to the rest of the industry, where maybe it starts in the most developed parts of the industry
Right.
and kind of works its way outward. What are you seeing in Oklahoma when it comes to that kind of extra avenue for purchase, the finance route?
I, I don't see it real prevalent here yet. Not saying it doesn't exist, but it seems like the rent to own is still the vast majority of what we deal with here. Yeah, a lot of people, I know we're in a different part of the country, everybody in the industry lives, different places, but in Oklahoma, I went back and visited some family in Virginia some time back. Actually, I think it was when I went to the expo in Richmond.
Hello, today we're going to take a look at iFab's component saw system. So we're utilizing a DeWalt chop saw. We've put it on sliders, easily to adjust. We've automated it using pneumatics so that we can run all these saws together using one actuator. We can either actuate with a two-hand safety control here or a foot pedal. The two-hand safety control comes with board clamps here, so to clamp in your board so you're totally hands-free. We've got digital readout up here to find your angle as well as your length. So we have a 90-degree saw here for your super long angle cuts. We've also got a conveyor on this system to take away your cutoffs. This system is completely modular. We can add as many saws as you need. The rails can be as long as you need.
For more information, visit www.ifabllc.com.
But you drive along there and there's beautiful old country churches, that are it's just a beautiful part of the country, I think. And those, the Shenandoah Valley and stuff is just so pretty. And you see old churches and old barns and things that are really old. I don't know how old they are, but they're really old,
Couple hundred years,
Right.
like, yeah, at least.
And come to Oklahoma, we don't have anything like that. We've been a state for a little over 100 years, and so the whole, a big portion of our population left in the Dust Bowl 100 years ago, and the only ones that stayed were the ones that were too poor to leave. And so, the whole culture here in Oklahoma, it seems like that the nature of the people that live here, uh, they're very gritty, very do what they can with what they have type people. And so I think that shapes a lot of, like I mentioned on the rent to own and the, the cheaper buildings and all that. I think that shapes that. And the other part of that is, we just don't have a lot of population here to pull from.
Right.
I mean, a huge percentage of the population of the U.S. It's like 75% live east of, I don't remember what parallel it is, but it goes right up through Oklahoma City.
Right.
And it's like there's so many more people back east to pull from. And we just, here in Oklahoma, it's just a lot. I think there's a lot of different dynamics. And so I realize that some of what I'm saying probably doesn't pertain at all to some of
Well,
the guys back east.
well, except I think that when it comes to competition, which to your point, as it has, I like the phrases that you used way back in April of 21, where you described it as you've been in the shed business since it was a collection of businesses, right?
Right,
You know,
right.
and now it's an industry and an industry that is still maturing and everything else, but as that competition goes up, I think there are a lot of people who wind up operating in markets, whether it be their newest dealer location or expanding. You always want to try and fill the geography, right? And to me, I think there are a lot of manufacturers out there who are operating in markets that do have low population,
Mhm.
where the as we all know, it's the urban areas and the suburban areas are the ones that are getting the influx of immigration, not immigration meaning international necessarily, but
Sure.
just, from within their own state even or bordering states. But I think that there are a lot of people who are competing in the more rural, sparse populations. And to me, your point about even just the product mix changing over time, I think that is something. I know that Shannon has really been focused on is making sure that Shed Geek doesn't stay too narrow, right, and doesn't think about carports, doesn't think about post frame, doesn't think about metal, because all those things are becoming more and more prevalent as people are competing in those markets where you just have to offer more to be able to justify that sort of business operation, right? Um,
Yes, sir.
I think that a lot of people, even if they're different geographically from Oklahoma, are doing the same thing. Um, that sort of that brings me to you almost are following my notes here. It's like great, I don't know if we're great minds, but certainly minds that think alike. Um,
Good.
I had the financialization as the first little bullet point here on the maturation of the industry, and the second bullet point, which you kind of already touched on, um, is the digitalization. So I know for you, you wound up taking on some more of those advertising, marketing, sales roles as the industry has become more digital. I was hoping maybe you could just kind of do a little bit of what's your take on that? I mean, I know um, it has certainly become more integrated into the industry, but there's still, an education piece to it, making sure people understand. But how do you see those digital leads versus the more traditional, going back 15 or 20 years, those kind of more traditional leads? What do you think?
Man,
Big question.
we yeah. First of all, I'll just say, Cord, I know you're filling in for Shannon, but you're doing the same thing he does. You're getting big questions open for me. So so bear with me while I answer it. It may take me a minute.
Of course. Of
Uh,
course.
Are your shed sales down? Maybe you heard the latest news. Shed Geek and Shed Hub are now working together for the benefit of the shed industry. That's right, Shed Geek is now a managing partner for Shed Hub. One thing we want to instill immediately is your confidence in this service. The Shed Geek and Shed Hub collaborative effort means you will get the same trusted visibility from the awesome SEO efforts already created by the Shed Hub team, while resting in the fact that Shed Geek will be streamlining the seller interface, website, and overall simplicity of the service. Shed Hub has already done the work to ensure that we are the most visible shed shopping website. And here are the analytics to prove that. During the month of March 2025, Shed Hub had over 2 million impressions and over 41,000 clicks from search. This means someone is on the Shed Hub site every 60 seconds shopping for a shed. Why not have your sheds visible for just $39 per month? You can get signed up today by going to www.getshedhub.com. Once you sign up, a customer representative will reach out within 1 to 2 business days to ensure that you are onboarded and understand the program completely. Don't wait. Sell more sheds today using shedhub.com by going to www.getshedhub.com.
So, okay, I told you my father-in-law helped start the company. So my father-in-law has been an entrepreneur since he was 17 years old, started his first business. That's all he's ever done is start businesses and run businesses.
Right.
He told us that, in the early days, back in the 80s, when he was doing this, 70s and 80s, he would go to the yellow pages and take out a full page ad. And that's what fed him for the year. Just a full page ad in the yellow pages.
Right.
So I don't know how many people are still doing that. And it may still be getting them some business, but I just don't think so.
Yeah.
And so when we first started, when I was first involved in any kind of marketing, and it hasn't been that long ago, it was in 2015. So, it wasn't just in the Stone Age for you young people listening. But we did a few little print ads. We have 2 or 3 different electric co-ops here in the area, rural electric co-ops that put out a monthly newsletter. And we would put out, like, in each one, we made sure we sent them a little ad every month, right? 2 or 3 little, and it was basically a classified ad. Some of you know what I'm talking about, you older folks listening to. And those kind of things, I mean, we never saw hundreds of sales off of that, but every month there would be a trickle of sales come in off of just that. But as times have changed, even in the last 10 years, we just dropped that. We don't do that anymore. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it wasn't worth our time.
Yeah.
To continue that. And so for a period of time, I was there during this time. It was like all you had to do was post something in Facebook Marketplace and you were good, right? Yeah. Like your sales guys, just make sure you're posting the Marketplace every, few days, share some stuff in some of your local buy sell groups, do some of those things. Let me rewind a little bit, Cord. I jumped too fast.
Yeah.
In between a few little print ads and even in like newspapers and stuff, in between there where there's Craigslist.
Yep.
So Craigslist was huge. You could post for free in Craigslist back then. And we posted hundreds of ads every month in Craigslist and, just in all different kinds of categories. And they didn't have to be very good ads because it was just free and you could just throw them on there and hope you caught some stuff. Then Craigslist changed and started charging for ads. And so then you had to kind of, because we were doing hundreds of them, man, so we kind of tightened them up, picked our best ads, kept those on the platform. But then when Facebook Marketplace really got big, catch back up to myself now.
Sure.
When it got big, Craigslist kind of died, and it kind of was the same thing as what had happened before. And so with Facebook, is like 90 some odd % of the business that we got that wasn't just people that lived locally that drove by.
Yep.
Come from Facebook. And it was like, that was our lifeline for probably 2 or 3 years. And then, if you haven't been around Facebook for a long time, and you're just getting into it and you find something that works, that's wonderful, but it won't work next month.
Right.
It changes constantly. And so we got to the place where it was like I remember when I first started posting on Facebook and we had, 1,500 followers or something like that on our Facebook page. And I was so proud of how many followers we had built, from scratch.
Right.
And I would post something and it would get 400, 500, 600 views.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. Well, now, I mean, I don't know. I think we're over 5,000 now, maybe close to 6,000 followers. And when I post something, if it gets 100 views, I've really done something. And maybe everybody else has got it all figured out and you're getting thousands of views. I'm just talking about organic posting on the Better Barns page.
They've changed that algorithm to match similar to TikTok or Facebook Reels, or it's a very interest-based algorithm, right? So your
Yes.
followers, and like you're saying, it's one of these things where you feel like you work for years, to build up
Yeah.
this base, especially for local business, this base of local people who are your best customers.
Yes.
And then before you know it, that big base of people that should be able to hear what your business is saying, it just skips right past them, right? Just
Right.
goes right past their ears. And so, yes, I totally agree with you. And it's almost like that. I mean, I know Marketplace obviously is still very active, super active.
Sure.
I would say saturated to the point
Yes.
now where, like, not just for sheds, but for anything, it's hard in some ways to even connect. So I bought my first motorcycle on Craigslist, right? Whenever I was 19 years old. So that was still the thing then. And then, like you say, Marketplace. But, I'm not sure that there really is a true equivalent for that serious buyer who really wants to go. Like, it feels like Marketplace has become so oversaturated that people don't even view it as a genuine place to shop right now. They just kind of view it as a place to look almost. Um, anyway, I didn't mean to. I know
No.
you're still going there, but that's just like there's not an equivalent anymore to, like, it used to be the trader paper, right?
Right.
Trader
Mhm.
paper, Craigslist, Marketplace, and like I feel like that void of serious shoppers just doesn't have a place to go right now. But go ahead, Tyler. Keep on.
No. Oh, I think you're spot on, Cord, on that. So when Facebook started dying off, that I was very involved with our marketing. And there was a time when marketing a shed was as simple as taking a few good pictures and posting it on Marketplace. That was like, you could say you were the marketing guy if you did that, you know?
Right.
And, but it's just not that way. At least here in Oklahoma, it is not that way at all anymore. We still post to Marketplace. We still share in groups. We still do all the stuff, maybe to a slightly lesser degree, but we still do all that we were doing when it was flying high. But I think really, and you were asking about the digitalization of the industry, and so what I have seen in the last few years, the vast majority, I would say for sure the last 2 or 3 years, the vast majority of solid leads that we get that come in digitally come in through Google
Yeah.
to our website. And so I know there's some platforms out there that, and I don't know, I don't want to get in trouble by saying names of platforms. So I don't.
Oh, not at all. Not for me.
Okay.
Well, hey,
Okay.
I don't have any supervision, Tyler. No,
Like you turned us loose today. Okay.
that's right.
So, I know like there's Shed Hub and some different ones
Yeah, right.
that that have kind of taken this idea that you're talking about having a place for serious shoppers to come look at sheds. I think that's a great idea. And if you're using those, and having success, I know there are people that are. What we have found, at least in our market, is that we had far more success simply concentrating on our website itself and maximizing what we can do with it. In fact, we just rolled out. We've been working for months on a brand new website. It's still the same location, but just totally overhauled our website, and we just rolled that out this week. In fact, to try to improve some things that need to be improved, and a few different SEO uh, type things.
Yeah.
And so with us, we are using a CRM. It's HubSpot is what we use, and everything connects to the website, right? So fill the contact form, goes into HubSpot, sign to a rep, and those people that take the time to do that that's the highest value we have.
Yeah.
We place that right up there with a phone call. We
Now,
feel like there.
are you
Go
doing
ahead.
are you doing I presume you have 3D Builder. Are you also
Yes,
doing in stock on your
yes,
what do you find are the best? Because I agree with you. At this point, people have to own whatever the platform is, as much as possible. You need to own whatever the platform is that's bringing those leads in, because to your point, you could have it figured out on Facebook, but Facebook owns it. So, so,
right,
so
right.
next month, they could change the way that structure or that inflow kind of works. So tell us about what your strategy was there on how to kind of get people into those different lead funnels on your website.
Running a business can feel like trying to balance a dozen plates, except none of them are actually plates, and one of them's on fire. Enter Newfound Solutions. Think of us like your business BFF, always ready to lend a hand with whatever you need. Have you always wanted to start your own rent-to-own company but don't quite know where to start? RTO Partners is here to help. Overwhelmed by all the moving pieces in running your own rent-to-own program? RTO Smart is a software that encompasses everything you need on one platform. Or leave the rent-to-own up to us and focus on what's more important to you. Newfound Rentals has you covered with traditional rent-to-own options for your customers. Shed Connect understands the complexity of the digital marketplace. We take the hassle out of online sales and unlock the full potential of your brand with co-creative. We'll make your brand look so good, your audience won't be able to look away. Newfound Solutions, 5 powerful sub-brands helping you succeed across every aspect of your business. Visit newfoundsolutions.com today and let us do the balancing so you don't have to.
Yeah, so we have, we have the contact form very prominently posted. You want people to know how to get in touch with you. There's still enough people, the segment of population, the generation ahead of me, that want to call you.
Yeah.
And so you gotta answer the phone. That's a mantra that we've preached here for years, is don't ever miss a phone call. Always answer the phone. And so you're going to have that. And so we got our phone number on our website because there's, a lot of people that's what they want to do.
Clickable, right?
Right.
Clickable to
Yeah.
where as soon as you
Clickable.
touch it, your phone app launches
Yep.
so that it's just a simple one touch. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
You got to have that because there's enough of the population that's what they want. They want to talk to a human, and they don't want to call and press 1 and 2 and 3. I'm just telling you. Okay, if you've got that, you may have that, and I'm not upset at you if you do, but I just want to tell you that segment of the population, they do not want to push 1, 2, and 3. They want to call and they want to talk to Susie or whoever. They want to talk to a person. And so we have tried to structure our website and our online presence to where those people, if they find us, can get in touch with us easily. But then there's the people that are in my generation. I told my wife I don't ever intend to go to a store and buy clothes again ever. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate going to buy clothes. It takes half a day, and you got to go try this and that and something else on, and I just despise it. I won't do it. Because I just order my clothes on Amazon. They get here. If they don't fit, I ship them back. It's simple,
And you can
and
have that experience in your own bathroom and closet
right.
versus in a little stall where you're, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
with it. I'm a big guy, so I've never enjoyed shopping. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah. So, people in my generation, there's a whole difference. And I think this is something, and okay, stop me if I get too big picture here, but a lot of people in the industry, my father-in-law is one of them. He's old school. Okay. The phone is the most important thing to him. And I just told you, we accommodate that because I know there's a lot of people like that.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of people in the industry that are business owners that are still have that old school mindset, and there's value in that. But I want you, if you're in that generation, I want you to hear this young whippersnapper here. I'm almost 40. I want you to hear me say that that generation is about the only one left that operates that way.
Yeah.
Most of the younger people, they don't want to talk to somebody. They want to fill a form out and text you back and forth, and they would just be fine with no human interaction. That's good, bad, or indifferent. That's just the way a lot of them operate. And there was a time we don't spend a huge amount of money marketing to 20-year-olds because our products typically are not what they're after. They're not the demographic we're chasing, but they will be very soon.
Yeah.
Like, give them another 10 years and that's the demographic. They'll be in their 30s and that's who we're going to be after. And so the market is changing, I think, pretty rapidly to where most of what's happening is happening online.
Yeah.
And it's happening through an attractive website that's easy to follow, that they know exactly what they need to do in order to get in touch with you. I think you're going to see more and more e-commerce with people actually purchasing sheds online. I know that's happening. It's not happening a whole lot in Oklahoma that I have seen, but I do know it's coming. And I think, for those of you that own a business, if you're still clinging to the idea that everybody's going to call me, you're going to lose some of this new market that is opening up as people my generation and younger come into the market for our kind of products. So just, I know it's hard. I'm like I say, I'm almost 40, and it's hard for me already at this point in my life. I'm comfortable with who I am and where I am, and things are changing, and I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. And so I can see how in another 20 years, I'm going to be like the old guy shaking his fist and telling the young guys to get off my lawn. And so I understand it's hard to change, but it's necessary if your shed company is going to survive in this world.
Yeah, and I see too, both that younger generation that's just going to grow up with everything at their fingertips, right? I mean, it already is, but they're going to have that digital consumer mindset their entire life. But I'll even say, so my mother, she's gosh, I guess she just turned 60, right? So I mean, she's in that sort of one generation ahead of us, uh,
Right.
right? And not a baby boomer, but oh gosh, now I'm going to forget what they call that, Gen X, maybe. Anyway,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't either. I don't either. But either way, she's like one lower than that baby boomer generation, and she has adopted a lot of the convenience of that sort of
Mhm.
online consumer, right? So she does and I just noticed this whenever I was talking to her on the phone a couple months ago, and she was sitting while I was talking to her, she was sitting outside of Walmart waiting for them to bring her groceries out, right?
Right.
Because she did the online pickup, and I know that became popular during COVID, but a lot of these a lot of even the older generation has slowly adopted some of those very low level, online consumer, digital consumer activities. And like you're saying, it's all these things are marginal, right? Year by year, there's a few more digital consumers and a few less kind of in-person consumers, right?
Mhm.
Traditional consumers. But as that year by year ticks by, that 1 or 2% difference in whether or not you're maximizing your digital channels starts to add up to 15 and 20%, right?
Sure.
And that's the difference in business. So I very much agree with you on those things. One of the other um topics, avenues here that seems to me to really be significant when it comes to the maturing of an industry is the way that now a lot of the verticalization, which I would even say in your case, right, the fact that basically you stepped into the role of digital marketer, right, to me says that a lot of companies out there are thinking about how to have an in-house team
Mhm.
that would do some of the roles of these vendors, which to me is just one of those classic signs of maturation of an industry where you actually say, you know what, we've grown big enough. that economies of scale wise, it actually makes sense for us to do these things in-house.
Right.
Are there some activities like that that you've seen, or Better Barn specifically, or even I know you're a student of the industry as well, and it feels like that verticalization both in-house and even as we get to the broader industry, even in acquisitions or mergers, seems to be a direction that's kind of coming on. What do you, how do you see some of that stuff, Tyler?
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think there's a lot of that where companies do just take on more and more things, that they feel like they can keep in house. Uh, there's always going to be a trade-off where, the whole reason we have a society that works is because there are people that are good at some things and you pay them money to do that thing, right?
Right.
And so there is some value. Uh, One thing I think I have seen even in Better Barns is sometimes if you're not careful with this idea of trying to do more and more things vertically, is sometimes if you're not careful, you don't do it nearly as well as somebody that specializes in it.
Right.
And so you end up, maybe you save a little bit of money, but you leave a lot of the potential
Yeah.
that somebody that was really good at it could have brought to you. Uh, we do our own rent to own at Better Barns. Not 100% of it. We share some of it with a couple of other rent to own vendors, but we felt like that was something we could do, and we have staff that oversees that, and that has functioned, I think, pretty well. I think that would be something I think we have done well at.
How long have you been doing that, Tyler? I know you mentioned that earlier, but when did
Yeah, 20 years, probably
okay.
20 years. Yeah.
early adopter of in-house architecture?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that was, uh, like I said, we were the first ones in Oklahoma licensed to do it.
Right.
And it was very early on in the company. I don't know exactly. I could be off by 2 or 3 or 4 years, but it was a long time.
Yeah.
But my father-in-law was doing the same idea. He started building portable buildings in New Mexico back in the 90s. And as part of a way bigger business that he did all kinds of construction. And basically just kind of with leftover materials from home building and stuff, started throwing together a few storage buildings. And so he would sell those on payments similar to what we're doing today back in the 90s. So he's been doing it a long time.
Hey, thanks guys for listening to part 1 of 2 of the Shed Geek podcast. We will be back next week for the conclusion of our conversation.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor for 2025. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you and have a blessed day.